Yo, what's going on, guys? Ryan with GrayStak here. Yesterday was actually scarier than I realized. I was less than 20 feet away from an IED thrown by a man who I assume was trying to kill multiple people yesterday with the device that he lit. Thankfully, it didn't explode, but yeah, it's kind of surreal to think about, because in the moment I remember thinking this could be very dangerous, but I still was just focused on filming and doing my job to try and capture what was going on, but to be cognizant that this could be extremely dangerous, if not deadly. But then once you find out officially from police that it was an explosive device, it made it much more real. I was kind of in a weird fog yesterday thinking about it. Still, it wasn't confirmed yet. They hadn't done testing on the device yet, but once I found out that's what it was, it definitely hit me. But for one thing, it gives me appreciation for just being alive, to be honest. It's Sunday here in New York. It's a little bit cloudy, but it's beautiful outside, and I'm just grateful to be here. Well, not just in the city, but on Earth, and I guess in this plane of existence. So I definitely have more stuff I want to talk about as far as why these things happen in the first place. I mean, Jake Lang came to town because the main thing he's trying to do is antagonize the Muslim community. And the worst thing that could happen was for any Muslim individual to commit a terrorist attack that only plays into his narrative. I refer to these things as false flag equivalent actions. Typically when you have an actual false flag event, someone stages some sort of terror attack because they want to blame a specific side in order to build up their narrative. But if you are the one committing what is the equivalent of that action, what is the purpose? I mean, anyone that sees and hears about this potential or this attempted terrorist bombing, that certainly doesn't make the Muslim community look good. And granted, it shouldn't be them as a whole that gets smeared, because these were, as far as I know, it was two individuals that I think that were involved. Maybe there's more, I don't know. But nonetheless, it's just complete selfishness and idiocy. And for what? I mean, what would have been accomplished even if Jake Lang was killed yesterday by one of the devices that was thrown at him, or if other people, the journalists, the protesters, the counter-protesters that were around the second device that was dropped on the ground. I don't know. It's honestly, I'd really like to interview these guys that are probably going to prison for a long time, to try and figure out why they did it, and do they think it's worth it. Granted, whatever they think right now, it might change in the future. I mean, yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I feel like I want to keep in touch with these people, maybe find others that have done such things. The scary part is there's a lot of people that think about doing these things, and thankfully it's a tiny portion that actually do it. But I always worry, if you normalize these things, they start to happen more often. When I think about, especially in America, how often we see these mass shootings, and people wonder, well, it must be the guns. People have access to guns. I don't buy that narrative at all, because you have other countries that have just as much access, if not more. Actually, I'm thinking of one country in particular, and that's Switzerland. And they basically have zero mass shootings, and their gun murder rate overall is between like 40 and 70 times lower than the US, despite them having greater access to at least one gun per household than the US does. So to me, especially after Columbine, that was an incident where the media hyped it up so much, and that those deranged shooters became almost like rock stars in this demented sense. And then you started to have more copycats, and then it happened with enough frequency, and people got enough recognition that it entered American culture. So it has to make you wonder, well, people seem to feel desperate right now. At what point do we start to see more of these things? People that are inspired by it, others that probably wish that those vices did go off. And we live in a time where, sadly, it's pretty scary what people can do with pretty basic technology to harm others. And that's why I try and focus on how do we figure out how to de-escalate, because not that in previous times it was good for people to act like this, but we have to be serious in the fact that we can cause absolute chaos at any point. We can all ruin our lives for each other, and we can all do it while we're pretending that we're trying to fix something or to win for our own side, whatever that means. But yeah, I just hope people will start to think twice about violence, no matter how large or small. It doesn't have to be something as extreme as, bringing IEDs to a protest. Something as simple as just throwing one punch, because you never know. That one punch can be deadly. And maybe think that sounds ridiculous, but it's not. One person gets punched in the face, they get knocked out, they fall, hit their head on something, hit their head on the concrete, and they're dead. And someone that thought they were just going to have a maybe basic assault charge, well, now you might have manslaughter or murder charge on you, and for what? I see a lot of violence at these protests, both the ones that I cover and stuff I just see on social media, and I go into the comment sections and I just observe and I see the bloodlust in people, and it's really disturbing. How many people like to see others brutalized? And I know it's common in human nature. We all have some kind of morbid side, but I think it's one of the few things we need to, as a species, to fight, to recognize it's a dark part of ourselves that we shouldn't give into, because in the end, it just hurts us all.